I've been using Macs for close to 20 years now, and one of the apps that really intrigued me in the beginning, the one that made me want to switch, was Quicksilver. A way to launch apps fast. A launcher? And I mean, it seems so trivial now, but remember 20 years ago, we didn't even have Spotlight. So just this idea of like something so basic that would enable so many new workflows was very intriguing to me. It was completely groundbreaking stuff back then. And of course, these days we all run some kind of a launcher, be it Spotlight or Raycast or whatever atrocity you might use on Windows. Sadly though, Quicksilver has been on a path of decay since its original creator Alcor left it, open sourced it, and left it for a career in modern interpretive dance. I'm kidding, he went to Google. And most of us have moved on. Yet, to me, nothing has really beat the OG, Quicksilver. And so for years now, I've been launching stuff, but felt this hole inside where Quicksilver used to live. And I've dabbled in making my own launcher. I've carved out my own little corner with LeaderKey that so many of you have found useful. But still, behind the scenes, I was scheming. I was dreaming. I've been building, and I've sat on this for too long. It's time to come out. I've built a new launcher. It's 100% entirely new, 100% native, 200% perfect. It's a Modal launcher, and it's called Tuna. Stay with me. I'll give you a quick tour. And before we get into it, if you're thinking, but XYZ already does this, my Raycast can already do this, my Keyboard Maestro homegrown mega structure insane thing already does this faster, great. Impressive, dude. I got it. There's so many cool apps. Here's another one to the pile. Let's have a look. Now, like I mentioned, Tuna is a modal launcher. So it has 4 modes currently. It's not like I'm adding more modes. I think it's gonna stay at 4 modes, but let me show you what it is. So first, there's fuzzy mode. It's sort of like all the other launchers. You like launch it with a global hotkey, then you type stuff, and it's gonna launch the app if you press enter. But it's called fuzzy mode because it's a fuzzy search. So if I type SFI, it matches to Safari as well. If I type GMA, it matches to Figma. A separate thing to note here is that it learns how you use it. This is similar to how Quicksilver worked. So if I type SMIT for the first time, it might not resolve to transmit. But if I then browse down to transmit and launch it via this SMIT handle, it's gonna remember that, and the next time I type SMIT, it's gonna resolve to transmit. And of course, there's also like deliberate ways to do this by assigning aliases or making it the default for SMIT or whatever. There's like a billion ways to do it, but the key point is that eventually it'll learn how you work and it'll work like you. I think that makes sense. Inside fuzzy mode, we have a directory browsing. So like if you have a folder, you can use the arrow keys to browse into it. And open files as you see fit. Now, short detour here to talk about the fundamentals, which make Tuna different and which make every action composable. So when I type Safari, there's this second pane open over here, which is the action. So we have the first thing, it's the subject. Think of it like a sentence almost. Second thing is the action, like the verb, what to do with it. So we can reveal it, like open Finder, pointing at Safari. We can copy it to clipboard. We can do all sorts of things with an app or a file or whatever it is that we have. So if I target open file, for example, I can pick a file here and open it with Safari. You see how it composes? There's like the subject, the verb, and then the target or whatever. And it also works the other way around. So if I find a GIF, I can say open with, and then pick Safari here. Works the same way around. So it composes nicely. And everything in Tuna works like this. Remember that as we go through the rest of it. Like everything has this 2, sometimes 3 pane structure of the subject, the action, and the optional target. Right, so next mode is called text mode. You can either get to it by launching in fuzzy mode and pressing Command 2, or you can launch it via a globally configured hotkey. And in here you can just like type text like you would anywhere, I guess. It also has functions like quick conversions, so like 10 Danish kroner in US dollars is this much, or I don't know, 10 p.m. PST tomorrow. It's gonna resolve to that. We can copy the answer, we can copy to clipboard, we can paste. We can also like run it as sample script. It's not gonna work. We can do all sorts of things. Result is a fun one because it resolves to whatever the result is. So you can use this for quick calculations. If you have like 10 DKK in US dollars, and we resolve it, and then we multiply that by 12. Apparently it doesn't work, but that's because of the comma, I think. So, yeah, forget that the comma messed it up, but it does quick conversions like this, and we can even do that, and so on. So it does even does crypto as well, so we can do 1 ETH and cry, and that's more or less it. We can also do stuff like text actions, so make this uppercase and then append this to a file, which is whatever. That's text mode. Third mode is leader mode. You know leader key. It's similar to my app leader key. I'm not gonna go too far into it because it's been described in plenty of videos that I've made, but it's almost essentially the same thing. You hit single key combos to launch things. What's good for leader key users is that Tuna comes with direct import from leader key, your JSON config file. So you can move to Tuna easily, instantly. And what's funny about this, allow me once more to talk about the fundamentals. In Tuna, every leader key command maps to a Tuna command. That is the subject, the action, and the optional target. And so you can see here all of these things that I used to do in leader key, I can do in Tuna, but they all map to this format of the fuzzy thing. And so they work together. So I can do stuff like launch the emoji picker. Yeah, I forgot to mention there's an emoji picker in here as well. There's also like a keyboard history or anything you want. Just anything you want. So I can map leader key shortcuts to run fuzzy mode things like the emoji picker. I can even do it the other way around. So I can make my leader key groups show up in fuzzy mode and launch that way. Do you see how it ties together? So everything you can do in fuzzy mode or text mode, you can also spawn with leader mode. And for a side note, so where does this leave leader key, my other app? It's free and open source. It's still gonna be free and open source. It doesn't make sense for me to work on both apps, so leader key is gonna be like hanging where it is, I guess. Anyone's free to fork it, but I'm gonna work on Tuna instead, and I just think the fundamentals are better. And now that it has like a complete structure that it can replace all the other launches, just makes sense for me to use Tuna. So that's the state of leader key going forward. Fourth mode is dictation mode. It also is spawned by a globally bound hotkey, or by pressing Command 4 inside of fuzzy mode. And it is using only local models. It doesn't send to any server, so it's like completely private, runs on your machine only. It's just plainly more or less a way to get text into text mode. Right, and of course this can be pasted into the app that you're currently using, which is probably what you want, or it can be copied to clipboard or whatever else you want to do with text. The shouting machine. This is just a way to get text into text mode, which is then just like a fancy fuzzy mode. And again, it all composes down to this fundamental structure of the subject, the action, and the optional target. Currently, there's support for Apple's built-in speech recognition. There's the OpenAI Whisper models, and then there's NVIDIA's Parakeet. They all work in the way that you download the models on demand, sort of. And it, of course, all happens on your machine only. I've found that these models, perhaps they aren't as perfect as the ones that run on like cloud hardware, but they work just fine for my needs. So yeah. And yeah, those are the 4 modes of Tuna. Small as it, like I said, it all composes down to the same basic structure. So once you like wrap your head around that, the other modes are just like ways to get stuff into that same structure. And the beauty of that is that they compose so nicely. It's like predictable. It always behaves the same, hopefully. And it's just like easier to wrap your head around. And I don't want to go too long in this video. It's just a short introduction, an announcement almost. But there's more. There's like the emoji picker that I mentioned. There's a clipboard history support. There's extensions. Currently we have a CleanShot X, Safari, Obsidian, Reminders, and Apple Notes. Things, the to-do app. I'm gonna add more. There's gonna be third-party support for extensions as well, but I'd want to have the APIs settle a bit before I make anything public yet. But if you have an extension wish, I am willing to grant it. There's a GitHub extension as well. I've tried to cover all bases with the basis, so anything should work, but just haven't. It's gonna come. There's also a concept of a shelf in there. There's themes, so Tuna can look like this by default, but themes can look any way we want. So there's an example Normie Bar theme that looks a bit more like the other launchers. And this is the same idea as in LeaderKey. Quicksilver was so fun because the themes were just like wild and crazy and like 3D and spinning and everything. I want the same energy in Tuna. I just love ridiculous stuff like that. So there's going to be more themes. We have a completely text-based config format. So like LeaderKey, you can keep your Tuna config in your dot files and bring it on the go, I guess. We have a hotkey support for everything. So the same way as everything else composes down to the same structure, hotkeys compose to everything as well. So there's a color picker too. So you can bind hotkeys for anything you can do anywhere in Tuna. These are my personal ones. These are like the special hotkeys for launching Tuna in special modes. But anything can be a global hotkey. We also have smart links, which is like search, X4, whatever. And that works, of course, with any site that you want. Basically, this app is the last app you're ever going to need, because everything else is going to be done by AI. Which leads us to, how much AI is there in Tuna? Is there an AI angle to it? And basically, sort of my perspective on it is that Tuna is made for the joy of using computers. I loved using Quicksilver. I loved how it made me feel when I used my computer. I felt fast. I felt efficient. I felt smart. And that doesn't happen often. We could put AI into Tuna. But my thinking is that like it's always going to be just a worse version of whatever the ChatGPT interface does on its own. So what I do is like I have a fast way to launch ChatGPT from Tuna, and of course like copy in text to and from. There's a current selection thing in Tuna where you can just like load it up with whatever you have selected already. I think that's the way to go for now, at least. So the only AI that's in there is like the dictation models, and that's on purpose. You can get AI content in and out fast, but it's not going to have an inside Tuna. Just a side note. Tuna is for like the joy of using computers. I love using computers. I loved when I switched to Mac and everything was just so simple and so intuitive. It's kind of gone the wrong way for a few years now, but still there's some joy in there. Anyway, there's a side note. The other apps I've made are all open source and free. And Tuna is free as well with some limitations. So it's not open source, and I don't think it's gonna be. I think open source is like in for a wild ride with all this AI coding that's happening. And also, I'd like to make money. Anyway, so Tuna is free to use with some limitations. Currently, that means you can have enabled 3 extensions. You can only use the small whisper model and the built-in dictation. You could only save so many things in the clipboard history, and perhaps there's another thing as well. But basically, I want it to be completely usable, completely fine, completely great as the free version. And then there's a pro version that opens up for like the more advanced dictation models, full clipboard history for forever, and more stuff potentially. It's going to be usable and great for free, even more usable and even greater for paid. And paid version is going to be a one-time purchase, unlocking everything. Just like everyone, I'm suffering from subscription fatigue. I mean, like $20, $10 sounds cheap. Over time, it's just, I have enough rows on my bank statements already. Making it one-time purchase just much simpler. And because I'm not tied to anything AI and ongoing, like token cost or whatever, it works. But I haven't enabled purchasing Pro yet. So for now, getting Pro is a matter of going to this pane and then enabling it. That's a good offer. But at some point, it's going to be paid. Eventually. For now, you can pay me in likes and comments and subscribes and feedback. So, please try Tuna. Please use it. Please tell me what you think. We have a Discord. There's already some life in there. People are submitting feature requests. I'm building the features. It's great. It's a hoot. We have a party. You should join it and tell me what you think. And yeah, that's Tuna. I'm gonna be back with more descriptions of like details of it. For now, this is the basics. You should try it. Thank you for listening. Now I will show you an interpretive dance symbolizing the life of a wild tuna fish.